Who here remembers the old days of Google, when it just started? Anyone? Back then we also didn't really know how to use Google to get the best search results possible. Well, I definitely didn't. And while it seems very simple today, there was definitely a small learning curve when it comes to typing in the right input into Google, the right question, so that we get the best output and the answer that we were looking for. And this learning curve is definitely way steeper with AI and ChatGPT. If your prompt isn't any good, your answer won't be any good either. So let's have a look at the 4 biggest mistakes I see people making that prevent them from getting great answers with ChatGPT. The first one is not being specific enough. Let's say we want help with our YouTube channel. So instead of asking ChatGPT, help me to get more views on my YouTube channel, ask something way more specific. For example, something like, please help me to create very curiosity-invoking, highly clickable visual concepts for YouTube thumbnails. Or something like, please help me to create intriguing YouTube titles that have a high chance of ranking in search. If you don't specify what you want, ChatGPT has to guess and will give you a very generic answer. The second mistake directly correlates with this one, and it's that people don't give enough context when asking their questions. If you ask ChatGPT a question without context, the answer will likely not apply to your situation. There's a huge difference between asking for very curiosity-invoking, highly clickable visual concept for YouTube thumbnails or asking for a YouTube thumbnail concept for a video about the do's and don'ts when using ChatGPT that should be curiosity-invoking and highly clickable. The video is mainly for beginners who just started using ChatGPT. The quality of your output will vary dramatically if you give the right and enough context. This applies for basically everything that you want to know. You want to create a new meal plan? Well, how does your nutrition look like? Are there foods that you don't eat, foods that you want to eat? Are you keto, vegan, whatever it is? Give the right context. You want a workout plan? Well, what muscle groups do you want to focus on? Are you an expert or a novice just starting out? Always remember context. Giving the right context and being specific are 2 of the most important things when it comes to prompting. To make clear what I mean, let's ask ChatGPT to water our plants correctly. Of course, a broad question that can never get the right answer for our situation. So let's put it into context and tell it that the plant is inside and it's summertime. Better results? But not quite there yet. So let's also be specific and tell ChatGPT that the plant is an aloe vera and that we want a rough watering frequency. And let's see how different the answer is if we tell ChatGPT that the plant is basil. And yes, these are literally the 2 plants that I have. The next mistake can definitely cause some problems, so be sure that you don't believe everything ChatGPT says. It's trained on a very large data set and definitely knows a lot of stuff about a lot of things, but not everything. And it makes mistakes. And it will be very confidently telling you that it's right. I think one problem is that many people maybe interact with ChatGPT a little bit more like it would be a human. Not if they would interact with Google where they type something in. But even then, they take everything that they find on Google on the first page as the truth and at face value. So I wonder how much worse this is going to get with misinformation in ChatGPT. And that's probably also a very huge abuse potential and real danger that we are facing when it comes to AI. Let's look at this example. Now, of course, I asked the question biased. I asked, why are nuclear power plants so bad when it comes to land use? But if nuclear power plants are not bad for one thing, then it is land use. Like, you can say many things, but they don't use a lot of land. But you see the answer from ChatGPT. And conversely, when you ask biased in the other direction, why are wind power plants so good when it comes to land use, it will tell you everything why it's so good. And when you can say one thing about wind power plants is that they are horrible when it comes to land use. So definitely always be aware that ChatGPT makes mistakes and that content may be biased. But going back to prompting, the next big mistake that I see people making is that they are not tweaking their prompts. When working with ChatGPT, you should constantly tweak and work on your prompts as you go along to get better output. And hopefully it comes very intuitive to most of you, but when asking something like, please give me a summary of the 7 habits of highly effective people, you maybe realize that it's not quite what you want, so you tweak your prompt until you get the output you wanted. For example, please summarize every habit in the 7 habits of highly effective people with a few short bullet points. Or refining it even further with, please summarize every habit in the 7 habits of highly effective people with 3 main bullet points and 1 action step I can take right away. So yeah, you should constantly working and tweaking your prompt until you get the output that you wanted. And if you don't quite know how to do that, if you don't know what to ask ChatGPT, then how about just asking ChatGPT itself to give you the best prompt for ChatGPT? If you want to learn more about that and how to actually do that, watch the video right over here.